We're live. Hit the intro.
All right, let's do it.
Welcome to another edition of the Friday Nooner. I'm Pete McIntyre, the managing editor of GrepBeat. With me, as I was going to say, as always, but as most of the time, Joe Colpe, the godfather of GrepBeat. Last week you were not here, and you're going to tell us a little about that. But more than two different people were like, "Oh, so that's the first show Joe's ever missed." And I was like, No,
it's second.
Right. So, you've made an outsized influence, but where were you last week?
Well, Pete, thank you for doing that. First, I noticed with the intro, which last week Kevin Mosley of Jurassic Capital commented quite profusely that it was too loud, it is too loud, but he's got young ears. So
okay. You felt, is it at a frequency that young people could hear and bother them?
He might have picked up on some frequencies that we just didn't kind of get. But yes, I'm kind of back in action. Last week was my kids' spring break. And so we used that opportunity to go to the North Carolina mountains, the Nantahala area, which is really far west, close to Tennessee. It's about an hour west of Asheville. And it's just, of course, completely gorgeous there. We rented a small house by a creek and kind of like just hung out with no cell service or very little internet for a week and just did hikes. But one of the things that was a really big highlight is as you know, I've gotten into riding motorcycles. And over that way, there is the Tail of the Dragon, which is this famous 11-mile stretch between North Carolina and Tennessee that's extremely curvy, supposedly has a few hundred curves. And so
dragons not a real thing, by the way.
What's that?
I said dragons are not a real thing.
Wait,
on Game of Thrones.
I think Mr. Komodo might have something to do disagree with that. And so yes, so I was able to do this. So look at this. So there is there is me.
Whoa.
Looking cool. And trying not to get killed because it's really curvy.
So this is why 10 minutes ago you were like, set me up at the top, ask about what I did last week. You just want to show the picture of you on a motorcycle. Now, who took that? Like your crew?
No, actually, they have camera people stay. I did have a crew.
How much did they charge for that after? It's like a marathon. You run a marathon. It's really just a racket to sell you pictures.
It is such a racket. So they have people set up like in two different locations. And a lot of people wreck or accidents. So they probably capture that too. And so after the fact, you can buy the photos. And I had one photo and I'm like, oh, but I really like another one better. So I actually did it twice. Guess how much that photo cost for just the digital version?
$120.
No, $9. But $9.
Does that seem like a lot? $9. Honestly, that's a deal. When you it's been a while since I ran a marathon, but they'll charge a lot more for pictures.
Well,
for that.
I was only able to I could only get, in a good way, I didn't have to buy the whole package. I could just get one.
Okay.
That was good.
You only got one.
But I did have a road crew. My family tailed behind me a little bit in the 2012 Honda Odyssey with a luggage carrier on top. So all the kids and the dog and my wife, and they didn't like it.
Is that a high performance vehicle? Would you consider the Honda Odyssey?
Yeah, a lot of people when they talk about sports cars and they talk about McLarens and some people get in the Dodge Chargers, but they really at the top is the Honda Odyssey.
Right. We just had one of your children just in the back of the frame there, but not one who was on vacation.
No, she didn't get to go. The oldest didn't go because she's at UNC and still immersed in school. But
you mentioned a border. I saw a trivia question earlier this week. of the 4 states that border North Carolina,
Okay.
which has the shortest border? I gotta admit, I didn't know there was 4. I could only name 3.
I mean, I would think it would have to be. I mean, is West Virginia border?
Not West Virginia.
Kentucky?
Nope.
Well, okay, let's talk about the
it's
states.
not Virginia, and it's not South Carolina.
So it can't be Virginia, it can't be South Carolina.
The third mentioned another state that
Tennessee,
borders, but it's
Georgia.
That is not the answer. Yes, Georgia is correct. I didn't realize that Georgia.
Yeah,
I haven't really been to that
does.
part of the state before.
Yeah, I went there for spring break, and we spent a week in a dry county, which you think all these Harvard seniors would have been smart enough to not do spring break.
When you first did spring break, I was like, oh, I was going to laugh and thought it was sad that you went there in college. It was like, obviously, it was there as an adult with your kids.
Many years ago.
But you seriously went there in college to
Blood Mountain.
Georgia?
Northern Georgia.
Come on.
In fact, just last week,
Did you not know where Florida was? Huh? You just you ran out of gas on I-95?
No, we planned this trip. We just
that is the
last week
thing I've ever heard.
Last week, when we were staying near Robbinsville, North Carolina, which is in Graham County, is also one of the few dry counties. So you think I would learn from my mistakes, but we keep on celebrating spring break in dry counties.
Honestly, we have a lot to get to, but it's hard for me to get over the fact that while at Harvard, you guys were going to spring break at some dry county on the Georgia-North Carolina border. It's not even on the ocean.
Half of it was there. The other half was somewhere in Florida. And the year before, to make it even worse, with a few buddies, we actually drove from Boston to St. John's, Newfoundland, which is also not
the wrong direction.
Also not a spring break location. No, and fun fact, the distance from Boston, Chicago, east-west, it's really is the same distance that St. John's, Newfoundland, at the very tip of that island, is from Boston. So it's really far east into Canada as well. Go look at the map. So,
all right. Yeah. So another poor choice. But okay. You're going to have, I mean, honestly, the U.S. News and World Report rankings of Harvard were like slipping as that conversation continued.
We bounced back after I graduated. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So fair enough. But let's get into some of there's lots of breaking news.
Now, we do have so much
just from this morning.
So much.
11 a.m. was the deadline for the bidding for the PEAT, the NFT, the non-fungible token, the digital art. Okay.
I can show.
I think it's sort of been printed on everyone's mind, but it'd also be good to show.
So there we go. That's the canvas version.
What do you mean unnamed? It's the PEAT.
There we go.
Oh, is that if you're going to put it in a frame or something?
Well, I ordered a few 16 by 16 inch canvases. So we'll and I think we get it like in a week and a half or something. So the winner will get one. And the office will have one here. And then I thought it'd be a nice present for your mom for Mother's Day.
Oh, so, yeah. That
so
is
you can
nice.
Put that above the mantle.
Can I have one for my sister? Her birthday's coming up.
You can use that third one for whatever you want. I already ordered 3 and I got a huge discount.
Well, they were like 90% off. Magnets? Is that what you got me? Fridge magnets, right?
I also ordered 100. 100 fridge magnets.
One.
They come in quantity. So from sticker magnet or sticker mule, and then I ordered the canvases from Canvas on Demand, which, by the way, used to be part a local startup here from the guys who spun off art.com. And then they later sold it to, I don't remember, maybe Vistaprint or someone like that. No, I might be getting that wrong. But yeah, so at least the Canvas on Demand has local connections. But soon enough, you'll be able to enjoy one of the canvases in addition to 100 magnets, which we can distribute through the Triangle Tech community.
Yeah, that'll be a big call for that, I'm sure. So as of yesterday, though, there was only one lonely bid by Robbie Allen. And I got to say, I was a little nervous, but it picked up overnight and then through the morning. And it looked, so the winner is Steve Klein.
Yes.
He's outed himself. He talked about it on Twitter. So what was it?
In fact,
the winning bid was 0.075 Ether, which is about $155 at the moment. It goes up and down as these currencies do.
So if I share my screen now, I can. Oh yeah. So if you look at here, so OpenSea is actually they just raised like $23 million. I think it's out of New York. It's basically like
Steve is on the line here.
Oh, okay. Well, oh, he is very proud. Let's well, Steve, so here's all the fun realities. So just a context. So OpenSea is trying to be like the eBay for NFTs.
Okay.
And NFTs are non-fungible tokens, and they use blockchain similar to crypto to basically say who owns what. And so a few weeks ago, we mysteriously found this digital picture from Greppo in our office or electronically.
It was mysterious. Yeah.
Well,
who knows who did it?
No one knows.
It wasn't me. I'm saying.
But although it's of you. And so so we decided to try out the NFTs using OpenSea. So we put it out there. We started the auction this week. It kind of started, as you can see from here, a little on the slow side. We had some interesting, but then we had some interesting offer. I think first was Robbie Allen. And then
he seemed to bow out of I guess he just wanted to get started. It got a little rich for his blood, I think.
I guess and then we see a little James Avery, we see a little Jason Kaplane, and then kind of like you figure it's just going to battle between James Avery and Jason Kaplane, but then out of nowhere, Steve Klein jumps in.
Well, and you're missing what? Geisicle.
Geisicle.
I think it's Chris Geis.
Yes, Geisicle, which is Chris Geis of Seguno.
We're guessing.
Well,
I don't know that for a fact, but that.
So it got pretty contested. So,
but now Steve's making demands.
Oh, he would like royalties. Well, so this is where we have to kind of look into all this. One,
that's true. It doesn't. The auction didn't actually happen, right? Isn't that technically?
There's so many things that make this.
When you said it was like eBay, but like eBay, except it's impossible to use.
Well, yeah. So first thing is through OpenSea, it was super complicated to set up and complicated to bid. You need to have a crypto wallet, which I'm not really sure why that was possible. It required us to have a minimum reserve price of 1 Ethereum, which is like $2,000. Who's gonna buy this for $2,000? So we're gonna find a way to get this NFT to Steve.
We're just gonna give it to him.
Also, I don't know how it works. It's a good question. And I think we should have one of our legal experts on to comment on this. But before he won it and we granted it, I printed up the canvases on demand and the magnet. So I don't really know. Does he have rights to it?
I mean, with the NFT, no. It's very specific to that.
Well,
we can toss it in. I'm not. That's a different matter.
But all I know is I would like. Okay, so listen. Pete, we both watched probably LA Law and a lot of other legal shows.
It's been a while since I watched LA Law, but yeah.
But I don't think that qualifies us to have a proper legal expert. So when at some point we can have a legal expert come on or comment on our legal right to.
We've got some sponsors. You know, Jesse Jones,
I know.
Fourscore Law. They sponsored the March Madness. That's why it was the Final Four score.
Anyways, this is all very exciting, and the winning value, it was like $100. How much was it?
$55.
$155. So we're gonna
and who's gonna get the proceeds?
Well, the NC Art Museum. We're gonna find a way to get that donation to them. We're also gonna find a way to get Steve Klein the NFT. We're also gonna find a way to have one of these printed canvases to him, get him that as well. And for all the other—
Will the artist sign it?
Well, I don't know. Greppo, I don't know who the artist Greppo is. Here we go.
That's just new to me.
So Steve will say he wants you to pose live art style, maybe. So that's an option.
Can we reopen the bidding? Because I find like this winner a little demanding.
It's kind of demanding.
This
ain't no Banksy,
right? A few hours one day. I barely last a few hours in this office. I'm not going to someone else's office.
So there's more to come. And like I said, I ordered 100 magnets. I'm supposed to get next Friday. So if you were a bidder or interested or just have to have this on your fridge, all that we're going to make possible.
Okay. All right. We're taking. All right. So let's go on to something else. We're on the time here. All right. So one thing, and we'll continue being self-referential for a little bit more. The Greppy Awards, the inaugural Greppies, right? They're coming up fast and furious. They're going to be Friday, April 23rd. We had previously said it was going to be Thursday, but we decided to move it to Friday, and it's actually going to preempt the Friday noon that day. It's going to be at noon, and we're going to open voting for that on Tuesday. So I have about 9 days of voting, and I have right here the nominees in the various categories. This is from our nominating committee. It's just never before.
So just to be clear, we're moving from a hyper new, complicated blockchain-backed NFT to.
It's going to be like a Google form.
Scribbles.
And no, this is not Scribbles. This is like a Google Doc here, printed out. I've written some notes on it.
We can't blockchain
but then there'll be a Google. I mean, maybe you can make an NFT. That seemed really easy, so let's just do it that way. There's going to be a Google form, and people can vote like humans, like we used to do back in 2019 or something.
Wow.
Okay. So there's 3 startup size categories, sort of small, medium, and large. And we're sort of 0 to 10. 10 to 50.
And this is a best of the triangle tech kind of thing.
Right. And this is our nominating committee, which is an esteemed group. So we have one person each from the 3 main VCs.
So who are they? I want names.
Tim McLaughlin at co-founders. I like to say co-founders first to bum out Jason Kaplan.
That's our goal.
Sarah Linas.
So Jason would be a 2-time loser today. Then it'd be that, and then also losing the NFT.
Lister Delgado of Idea Fund, John Austin at NC Idea, Jan Davis, who's one of our local angel, I guess we'd say. And is that it? Oh no, I'm sorry, Tina Cochran from Dual Boot, who is sponsoring the entire shebang. So that was 6 people, and I actually ended up not voting. I just kind of organized it. So those are the.
So was it over at Bull City? And by the way, coming back to Jason, I think it was great to see a tech VC actually kind of get in the game and do some tech bidding.
They're our first guest, I believe, on the.
So Sarah's the one on the.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's why she was the first guest. Cool. But then I was kind of chickening out on how to pronounce her last name. I couldn't remember whether it was Lenners or Leaners. I think she said Leaners, and
you're the only one bringing this up right now. So
yeah, I shouldn't have circled back, and that was a mistake. We'll write that down. Okay, so anyway, in the small startup, this is not in a certain order, but there's 5 nominees in this and in the other categories. Wrangle, I know you don't care for that name, but Courtroom 5, Inside Finder, Blue Recruit, and Clearly, formerly Clearly Analytics.
With a K.
Which you might know that Alex Krawczyk, the CEO, is a big Mets fan, importantly.
I didn't know that, but I do know. Yeah.
If that influences anyone's voting, as perhaps it should. Medium-sized startups, All Stacks, Lonewell, Revive Technologies, Pattern Health, and Reveal Mobile. Okay, the large startup category, Spoonflower, Spiffy, Pendo, some upstart Pendo company, Real Magic or Levitate, you can call what you like. Just don't call them late for dinner. And then Second Nature, formerly Filter Easy. A lot of names for these people. We also have a category, Most Impactful Individual. The nominees from the committee are Joe Procopio, Scott Wingo, Jess Lipson, Todd Olson, and Robbie Allen. I just realized a bunch of white guys, but we'll see what we can do on that. So, and then there's also going to be a Best On-Campus Startup category. Names won't mean much to folks but the newsletter soon.
The newsletter is going to start getting into it and we're going to start.
Yes, and then people are going to start voting on Tuesday. So there'll be, the judges have picked their winner, and then there'll also be a Reader's Choice Award. So that's that. So what else? The tweener list.
Yeah.
This week. Speaking
another
of
great way.
So
that's Scott's project. I think it's a great way to kind of highlight startups in the area, particularly ones that have been able to get a little bit of traction. So I think you feature that in the newsletter on Thursday.
Oh,
right?
Of course. We mentioned it in the newsletter. So so he defines tweener as sort of the Goldilocks level. So you need in theory, at least 1 million in revenue or 10 employees. You graduate off if you have, I think, over 80 million or over 500. Yeah. And then you also, if you're acquired, you move off. A couple, unfortunately.
I mean, I think the definitions can get kind of fuzzy in practicality, but I think it's great. Definitely. There's a list. It makes it easy. I think he does a good job with the pitch where he just breaks it down in essentially a sentence or two.
And he has little blurbs on all of them, which actually is quite helpful. When I moved here, that was someone pointed me in that direction, and it was extremely helpful.
Yeah. So that's
57 new companies joined for a net gain of 51 because there are a few that moved off, and that was a 29% increase.
Well, the percentage is whatever. I mean, that doesn't mean anything because
it doesn't mean anything. Wow. Okay. All right.
Well, no, because I mean, it's not a fixed list. It's not like
that's true.
It's a perfect world where there's absolute understanding of what's in it and it's not. But it's a helpful as a list to kind of see
directionally. It's good.
Yeah, directionally it's good, and it means, if anything, it means the list is becoming more comprehensive.
Right, and the list you can see linked. Of the 57 new ones, we had written about 21 of them. Seguno,
which I'm a kind of the
you're an investor, right? You're the anchor investor. You're the lead.
It wasn't mentioned in the tweener list, and I think it's because it might just
but you guys were mentioned. You were called out in the Corvus.
I was, through Jurassic.
Yeah, not even just at Jurassic, actually had your name. It doesn't have the name of anyone else behind any of the other investors. So,
well,
I mean, okay. No. And now you're talking about the numbers don't even matter. So maybe next year you're not going to be in the tween. Is all I'm saying.
There we go.
All right. What we're kind of. I did want to mention just briefly the American Underground. And Raleigh founded, launched a little reciprocity agreement. So you can use the other ones. I think it's among the benefits. If you're a member of one, you could use one of the others either up to 4 times a month or once a week, maybe whichever is.
I mean, either way.
So that's nice. So if you're at a meeting in one of the ones, if you want to kill time for a couple hours there instead of going to Starbucks, I've done that. I've used I'm a member technically in HQ Raleigh, and I've used them if I'm kind of in Raleigh.
I think with time, it'd be great to even see them work together even more and come together.
They're doing some other things, but you can book conference room and even more things.
Yeah, so maybe it's a predecessor to kind of like bigger things in 6 months or a year, but it's great to see that. It makes perfect sense for them to work together, and it's all good for entrepreneurs. So we are supposed to have a guest, but I do not see him in the green room. I do,
but really,
I see him.
I see just an empty thing. Maybe
no, he was saved.
All right, but I'll mention it. So it's Jesse Midgett, and he's with NASA. Let me see, what is his title? He's a technology transfer specialist at NASA in their Langley Research Center. And I'm sure, Joe, you noticed we had a story a few weeks ago about their patent licensing. Yesterday in the newsletter, I called it patent transfer. It is not a patent transfer, but they're licensing for startups, 0 upfront costs and 0 licensing royalties for first 3 years. So that's quite a deal. And he's going to tell us a little more about that. Let me tell me he's there. I'm just seeing an edge.
Oh, there we go. You did it.
See, but I don't.
Am I really in?
I see
I'm
you.
not saying really you can. So I might have something. I'm literally getting a black screen.
I get that a lot. So hopefully.
Okay.
Joe, do you want to interview me instead since Pete can't see me? I'm the invisible person here.
I mean, I can hear you. There are other media, and in fact, it's making my ears so much more sensitive because I have fewer senses.
Yes.
It's true what they say.
That's right. You're Daredevil now.
Yeah, something like that.
No, wait a minute. Yeah, that's right. He's blind, but can hear well.
Okay, exactly. So that is exactly the same way. And that's how Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner got together from doing that movie. But in the end, that didn't work out for them. So though they had some lovely kids. But
I wish them both the best.
Ben Affleck, we were talking about this earlier in the spirit of NASA and space. We were talking a bit about Armageddon, and he was in that, which was great.
I was going to make that tie, but you beat me to it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. I have other ties I'll make throughout the show.
Well, we are going to get in a moment to our top 3 NASA semi-related movies. However, first, I just want to hear from the person who actually knows what's going on. Tell us a little bit about the patent licensing program that NASA has that startups can take advantage of.
So if you can imagine, they tell us to do billions of dollars of research. Sometimes we end up getting a patent. We're not supposed to get a patent unless there's some reason to get a patent. A patent is a commercial thing. A patent limits who can practice a technology. If we don't get a patent, it goes into the public domain. And we have a lot of those that either get there initially because we didn't patent it, or we didn't pay the thousands of maintenance fees that are required to keep a patent alive over the life of the patent. So it's like $17,000 in maintenance fees at different points, scattered across different points of the life of a patent.
Okay.
But yes, we have probably 435 now. They come and go as they expire and new ones are invented. And so now that we've gotten a patent, we're required to try to find someone who needs to use it through tech transfer. Traditionally, we have gone after existing companies and we've asked them to get a license. They pay an upfront fee and then a yearly royalty, or with a minimum or maybe a cap on it. It's a structured agreement. Excuse me. But now we're trying to focus on, can we make startups? Can we grow the economy more rather than go into the usual suspects? And furthermore, we're looking for good places for startups to survive. If you're going to plant a seed, it should be in a fertile field if you want it to survive. So sure. I was assigned a number of areas, Harrisonburg, Charlottesville, Richmond, and the Research Triangle, to look and assess their economic ecosystems viability for potential focus for more focused outreach, which is kind of what we're doing right here today. Because the Research Triangle is a fertile place for businesses.
We're definitely better than any of those other ones you mentioned, right? I mean, let's be honest here.
You're world ranked. I think
Yes.
I've seen you up in the 3rd to 5th area for entrepreneurism, 3rd to 5th ranking worldwide. I mean, there's a few. You're only behind some of the Far East regions, and of course the Valley, Silicon Valley.
I've heard of that.
And the Boss Wash Circle. You familiar with Boss Wash?
Joe was in the Boss Circle for a bit in college, and then he'd go on exciting spring break destinations
to Newfoundland and then dry counties in northern Georgia.
Wow. I actually have a Newfoundland right here, panting and requiring me to pet his head. If I don't pet his head, he will show up in your field of view here.
I won't see it, so that's fine.
Panting and slobbering.
Joe can tell me all about it.
Right, you won't see it, but 120 pounds of needy Newfie here. Well, 110 probably. I haven't weighed him in a while.
But these startups, though, they can use a license potentially for no upfront cost, right? And no royalty for 3 years. Is that right?
Yes, no upfront cost. That's for U.S. companies that are less than 2 years old.
Okay.
And less than, I think, $500,000 in assets, less than 500 employees. There's certain things like that, right? So IBM's not going to get a startup license from us.
Yeah.
What are some of the licenses or the patents that might be, say, if you're a software? So you have some in IT, right?
Yeah. We actually have some kind of magical ones. Yeah. Biofeedback training. So have you ever played a sport and you felt like you were really good that day? You were just dialed in, or something happened naturally, that home run happened, or that racquetball rollout. You got 3 rollouts in a row and shut down your opponent. That's racquetball was my game. But there are brain waves that are indicative of that kind of focus that leads to good performance. And there are commercial products that you can use to read those brain waves. But where we came in is we developed algorithms on how do you tell your brain that it's in that zone? How do you tell your brain how it's feeling and enhance that kind of training? So we have a number of biofeedback technologies on there on our patent portfolio, which is technology.nasa.gov/patent, because we couldn't get a shorter URL, but we got that one.
And we have that in our story as well.
Okay, good. Yep. So you go there, you can search on any term, and it'll give you patents across the 10 major centers. Excuse my throat. I have a medicine I take in the morning, and every day about this time, it makes me cough. Just takes that long to happen.
All right.
Beats
perfect timing,
not breathing,
Yeah.
So yeah, you can go there, and then you could say, click on you've opened up our technology sheet. On the right-hand side, there's links to get more info or even to apply for the license right there. Of course, you probably should, double check it is what you think it is before you apply, and because the forms are kind of lengthy to do the application.
So as a child of the 70s, I always heard, what comes out of NASA. And I think it was in the commercials. They always talked about Tang.
Yeah.
It was designed for astronauts. And there might have a few other things.
Tang patent?
Yeah. Who's got the Tang? I want the new
I don't think
Tang
that was
patent.
actually a NASA patent. We just used it. Yeah. There's a number of things that, like Velcro, we didn't invent Velcro, but we're always tied to Velcro. And we always talk about how the public perceives NASA tech transfer. Those were the big success. Those were just things that we used. We didn't invent.
Well, to be fair, in the commercial, they said used by, I think, astronauts, not invented by.
You didn't invent Velcro? You're not really selling NASA.
No. Well, no, we have a lot of really great inventions. That's a biomimetic. A fellow, I believe, in the Alps saw a bird that had that grippy texture, and he copied it to make Velcro. But we used it because it beats floating around. You can actually be in one place.
I would think so. So Pete, we're kind of coming a little bit over time, but I think it would be valuable to do a quick comment on, I don't know, maybe this question for Jesse. Like, there are a lot of NASA space movies out there, like great movies like Armageddon, or other great movies that aren't about space, like Con Air, but still kind of in the air.
That has nothing to do with it.
There's actually a tech transfer related movie that I use to explain how we used to do tech transfer. Are you familiar with The Princess Bride?
Yes.
Movie?
Yes.
Remember when the hero is nearly dead and gets taken to Miracle Max?
Yeah.
Miracle Max gives him this giant chocolatey miracle, which he ingests, and suddenly he has the barest amount of life. And then they send him off, have fun storming the castle. Yes. That's kind of the way tech transfer used to be. The miracle is the patent. And they give it to the hero, the champion, and then see you later, right?
Wave, okay.
Right. So, and with no assessment as to whether or not the castle is stormable or not. Okay. So we're trying to find out if the castle is stormable and if the champion has actually what he needs to storm the castle, which would be the development of the company through our NASA technology.
So now you guys are like Andre the Giant and Inigo Montoya. You're helping.
Right. And the license is like a wheelbarrow.
The castle yourself. You're helping him. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Fessick
was,
I believe. Wait,
yes.
Is that the Giant's name?
This was a classic movie.
Very good.
Great movie. Not a NASA movie.
I have found people that have not heard of that movie, and the analogy doesn't work as well if you haven't seen the movie.
It's no Armageddon.
People? Kids.
Yeah. It's no Con Air, but
not Con Air. Apollo 13, by the way, was going to be my number one. Not a very exciting choice.
I like The Martian.
And I was going to have Gravity because it helped me win an Oscar pool. And October Sky. I went off the board a bit. You don't remember October Sky?
You're not going to guess my number one.
Well, okay.
You want to try?
Black Hole, 1983 Disney classic.
Nope.
You got to have a hint. I mean, I can't be guessing. I can't even see you. I have very few context clues.
What years? What era?
It's in the 2000s, like 2000, I don't know, 6. I only watched movies in the 2000s, not before and not after.
Do one of those Apollo movies?
Very specific.
Space Cowboys.
Apollo 13. Space Cowboys. Okay. All right. Yep. They were like the old guy astronauts.
The
old guys
Cowboys
that found a forgotten Russian missile launching space station and had to deal with it.
So it was like Tommy Lee Jones.
And Clint Eastwood and some other big names. In all the pictures, Tommy Lee Jones is in the front and Clint Eastwood's behind him. I'm not sure about that. But
well, there was their agents and managers went back and forth on that.
So
many years.
But I loved it when he
was higher, whose name was higher. They definitely negotiate all that stuff.
I love the part where Tommy Lee Jones literally straps himself to a missile and flies it and crash lands it on the moon.
Wow,
that was great.
All right,
that's like you on Tail of the Dragon.
Well, hopefully not yet. But
how much do you think they charge Tommy Lee Jones to buy a picture of that?
Probably a lot. Probably more than $9.
Yeah. Probably NFT. That could change.
Yeah, that could be. All right.
Can I do an extended pitch on something real quick?
Yeah.
Not only do we have patents that you can license, we have software that you don't have to license. on the NASA software catalog.
Even better.
As well as, remember the patents we didn't renew? Those are called NASA's gift to the public domain. You can go in there, you see a patent you want, you're free to practice it, and we promise we won't sue you because we didn't renew the patent.
Wow. All right. This is like a treasure trove.
Yeah. I always tell people I can sell free stuff really good.
Okay. All right. Perfect. All right. Now, sadly, we are out of time for a couple of minutes.
It's bound to happen.
But thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, and I really appreciate it. And if you get contacts, send them to me. I'm still delving deeper for more links for licensees.
All right, I will do so. I'll send them your way. And thanks to everyone out there. But let's hit the outro. Right?
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Ooh, that is loud. Anyways.